Jamie, it's nice to talk to you, and it's nice to see you back out there on the pitch again. Just, if you can, just sum up what these last few months have been like for you and how good it felt to get back out there again.
To be honest, I'm probably lucky. That's probably a strange word, but lucky in the sense of I've been through it all before, so it wasn't new to me in terms of rehab and being out injured and the struggles that you go through with that, whereas maybe if it was the first time it had happened, it would have been a lot more tough. But yeah, it's always tough to watch the lads not to contribute, to really, I think the period of time I went through as well was pretty much just me on my own injured, which usually isn't the case. There's normally 2, 3, 4 of you in the gym doing your rehab at the same time, whereas for the majority of my rehab this time round, that wasn't the case. It was just me on my own in the gym, so that was probably the toughest part of it. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and now it seems a distant memory, to be honest. Like, I've only been back involved the last couple of weeks, but already it seems that I've not really been away. So yeah, glad to be back out there and looking forward to a successful second half of the season.
I know you started the season first few games, didn't you? At what point did you kind of realise that I need an operation and I need to get this sorted out?
It's tough, really, because with me at that stage it was different feelings on different days. So I could go into a game feeling absolutely fine, and then the day after I'd wake up and I'd be like, wow, this just isn't right. So there was no set period where it was just, right, this is not going to work. The games were obviously a struggle at the start of the season, wasn't anywhere near where I should have been, and it got to the stage where I felt I was impacting the team and impacting myself, obviously in a negative way, so something needed to be done. So we made that decision to get it done, and as I said, hopefully now move on to being a lot more successful than the first part.
I don't mean this to sound disrespectful, but the older you get, is it tougher to come back from these things physically? Because can it take longer because you're at this stage of your career rather than maybe when you first starting out?
I don't know. I think science would say probably yes, but personally I don't think so. I think the experiences you go through in the past when you're younger stand you in good stead for the rehab round this time. So you know what your body needs to get back up to speed, whereas when you're younger you're sort of like following a textbook, really. I need to do this and this, whereas I don't do that anymore. I know what I need to get back out there and be physically as best as I can be at this stage of my career. So it hasn't taken any longer than expected. If anything, it's probably been quicker than what we expected. So all good news moving forward, and yeah, plenty of positives. When you came back last year, you got back into the team. You went on a run of scoring goals. Are you? Presumably, you're hoping for something very similar this time, but you've got to fight your way back in now, haven't you? Yeah, of course, and that's. Look, people always ask you, "Oh, we've signed strikers. We've got loads of strikers in the building. All this, is it going to affect you?" It doesn't bother me one bit. Like I've been around long enough now to know that whatever club you're at, there's going to be loads of competition in every single different position in the team, and it just is what it is. You can only look after yourself, and I'm at the stage now where I've got to keep myself fit, train hard, play well when I get a chance, and ultimately the results will come and things will take care of themselves. Does it help that you know this division from your experiences of playing that before, that kind of you know both the physical demands but also the demands of seeing out games and what your role can be either when you're behind or in front in a match against better opposition than you were playing last year? I think so, and I think that experience is something that even when you're not in the team you can also use, which is good, and we are quite lucky within our squad. We do have that, the knowledge, the know-how, and I think anybody that can bring that, whether they're in the team or they're not, it's only going to benefit like the individuals, but also collectively as well. We're going to benefit from that. Has there been a greater responsibility on the lads like you've played at this level before, for the lads who maybe like Ben Garrity and people like that who haven't played at this level to impart some of that knowledge to them? I think so, and you always try and sort of pass your wisdom on and stuff like that as best as you can, but you don't want to come across condescending in any way and like patronising to lads as in, look, I've been there and done it, listen to me, because that's not the case. Everyone finds their feet, they find the level, they adapt at their own pace, so I think there is ways of going about it. I try and do it probably in more a subtle way, but I think especially this season, we've been brilliant in terms of adapting to the new level. Started off the season really well, and even still now we're in a great position with a good squad to really kick on and have a good second half of the season.
Watching from outside, if you like, not being involved on the pitch, what have you made of that kind of period of transition from being a promoted League Two team to being now what is a mid-table League One team? How have you viewed that?
Brilliant. Yeah, I think at the start of the season you set yourself targets, but you really don't know how it's going to go. Even the big boys who are spending fortunes, they will have aspirations and they'll set themselves targets, but they don't really know whether the squad's going to gel, whether they're going to do well. They don't know how the season's going to go, and I think we were pretty similar in terms of putting a squad together, having targets, but thinking we're not really sure of how it's going to go. And I think we've probably surprised a lot of people on the outside, but not on the inside, because we know what we've got as a group, as a club, and we know which way we're trying to build and move forward. So it's been really good for large parts, but probably not anything we didn't expect, to be honest.
And finally, I suppose the challenge now is to build on that, isn't it? Because you'll know from playing at this level, as a promoted team, you can have a really good first year, but then it's a matter of expanding on that and building on it and establishing yourself as a League One club in the long term.
Yeah, and I think that's the ultimate goal, and it is for anyone. We're not here just to be one season, or we've just been promoted and we've done well that season, so let's all sit about now and clap our hands and say well done. I think the way the club is as a whole, they won't rest on anything. They will always look for progression, whether it's small amounts every single year. We will always look to be progressing. I think it's a perfect football club with foundations to be able to do that.
Thank you.
Jamie, obviously you've been able to contribute despite the fact you've not been on the pitch from the outside looking in, because the boss always welcomes opinions. Has that helped your teammates?
I'd like to think so, yeah. As I said before, we've got a lot of lads like that who, when they aren't in the team, TC for example, as the captain, the leader of the group, is brilliant at that in terms of when you're not in the team, injured, can't get in the squad, whatever that may be, make sure you contribute in some way. And I think the culture at the club doesn't accept anything else. I think the gaffer will have something to say if you are one of them players who, if you're not contributing on the pitch, you have to be doing something around the place. And I think we've got a good group that acknowledges that and really sort of acts on it.
We can come here tomorrow and they're one of the teams that people wouldn't consider big hitters, but their form is such, they're always in there or thereabout, and they were close to stopping in the Championship, so they have aspirations to going back up, don't they?
Everyone does, and I think you only have to look at us, and people would probably write us off at the start of the season, yet people are now coming to play us and thinking they're one of the decent teams. Like they've got a right good chance of being in the top half and giving anyone a game. So there's nobody in this league at all that you can look at and think, oh, that's 3 points on a Saturday or a Tuesday. Anybody that comes here has got really, really good players. They've got good squads and they've got the know-how of the division as well, which says a lot and counts for a lot come match day.
And finally, for me, they're contrasting styles, aren't they? People say they're one-dimensional, but they have a bit more than that, don't they?
Everyone will always say that. You put a couple of big lads in a team and like for example big Volks up top that they've got, and people say, oh, they're direct, they only want to do that, but you look at some of the players they've got at the back in midfield, they've played Premier League football, so whether they've got that style, they've also got very, very good players, and that is the case for a lot of teams in this division where they're sprinkled with ex-Premier League players, ex-Championship players, and the quality is definitely there in the league.